Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're here. And what you saw, me and my boys unloading, was a marketplace score of a front-end loader that I plan on putting on to one of my garden tractors. Now the reason why I was in the market for one of these was because a few years ago, I had a Massey Ferguson GC 1705 subcompact utility tractor with a front-end loader. I put a picture of it here. And that tractor was amazing. It was so handy to have. And it is said that you don't realize how much you use a loader until you get one, and you don't realize how much you'll miss a loader until you get rid of your tractor with a front-end loader. And that's what happened to me. We lived in a different state than we do now, and we were going to move. And I said, you know what? I don't want to move this thing. I'm just going to sell it. And then when we get to where we're going, I'm going to buy another one. That was my plan, was to buy another subcompact utility tractor. But there are many people out there who can't afford subcompact utility tractors. That one now would be worth $12,000, $13,000 plus than what I paid back then. But yet at the same time, it was so handy. It came with a front end loader. It came with a 3-point hitch in the back. It came with power steering, and it came with PTO drives, and it also came with 4-wheel drive. And I tell you what, I could not imagine, I couldn't believe how handy that tractor was. Well, now that we've moved, and I am enjoying working on old garden tractors of the past, I was thinking, I'm like, and some of these garden tractors, a couple of which I'll show you today, are pretty massive themselves. They're massive garden tractors. They may not be as big and powerful and capable as a modern subcompact utility tractor, but surely I can have a piece of equipment that's similar, at least shares in a lot of the capabilities of that subcompact utility tractor without spending over 10 grand to get it or more to get it. And so I started looking, because I already found some of these garden tractors, and I already had bought a couple bigger ones, and I had bought them because they were broke down. They needed to be fixed, and I got a couple of them running. And so I was like, if I could find a loader for one of my garden tractors, that'd be awesome. I even thought about building one, but just to price out the build, they said that in order to build some of the loaders for a garden tractor, pre-COVID, was over $1,200 just for the material. And so if I wanted to build one, I'd have to spend at least $1,200. If not, I would say that was 5 years ago. Now we're probably at $1,500, $1,700. Then I have to build the entire thing, and that's a little beyond my capability. So I was on the look. I wasn't searching, like dire searching. I just wanted to know if I could find one. Well, sure enough, this thing came up on the marketplace, and I reached out to the seller, went that night, and bought it. Now, I want to show you everything I got, but before I do, let me tell you what kind of loader this is. This is an ARC loader. It's a 7-3050. And based off the research I've done, this loader came on the Wheelhorse D-Series garden tractors. Now, the D-Series Wheelhorse garden tractor was a beast of a tractor. They came in 16, 18, and 20 horsepower because you had the D160, D180, and the D200. These things were massive garden tractors. If you looked in the back, they almost always had a 3-point hitch in the back for different attachments for the rear. They would come with plows and all different types of implements. And one of those implements, or one of those attachments, was a front-end loader. And so this thing was the front-end loader before the subcompact market, or this is the loader for the garden tractor market. This is what Wheelhorse used. And so I'm going to show you a picture of those right here. This is what one looks like. And so I looked at it, and I went and bought it, and my goal is to put this thing on one of my garden tractors and use it as I did my old subcompact utility tractor. My garden tractors aren't 4-wheel drive, but beyond that, there's a lot of similarities in their capabilities and what they can do. But before I get into what I'm going to do with that, let me show you what I got from this marketplace. We'll call it a score. So let me show you that. I guess let's start out with the main piece that I went for, and that's this ARC 7-3050 ARC loader. And it's pretty old, but it might need some new hoses. Some of the hydraulics maybe in the front look like they've been replaced before, but it seems like it's in pretty good condition. All the hoses are there. I don't know the condition that they're in, and I won't know until I put some hydraulic pressure in them. The fella that I bought it from had been using it on his tractor, and his tractor, I guess, locked up, and so he got rid of the tractor and he sold the loader. So theoretically, this loader should work just fine for me, and I think it will fit my application pretty well. He actually had it on an older subcompact utility tractor, so it will fit on those. He retrofitted it on there, but my goal is to fit it onto a garden tractor. Now, I don't know the history of these loaders, but when I have seen wheel horse loaders and buckets, the front bucket doesn't usually look like that. It actually looks more like a trough. The top end sticks out further. This looks to me as if it's been cut to look like a modern loader bucket and then reinforced with steel. You can see some of the reinforcements there that was made to the bucket. I would say this is built almost at least as heavy duty as mine that I had on my compact utility tractor. I am not sure it came from the factory this way, but it's definitely pretty heavy duty enough for the things I want to use it for. Now, as far as I understand this piece here, this is like a pitchfork for your tractor. And the way the guy that I bought it from, he was an old man, and he loved to fabricate and weld. But the way he designed it is you put the tip of your bucket inside here, and then when it gets down inside there, you lower the bucket down into this fork, and there's some bolt holes in the back. I don't know if you can see that or not. Some bolt holes here in the back and then in the back of the bucket on some of the mounts, there are some holes that he drilled, and you put a bolt through here into those mounts, and it holds this fork to the front end of the bucket. And he says this is great for things like brush, if you're working with a lot of material. Of course, you could probably use it as a rake or a way of breaking up ground or tearing out roots. It's really heavy. It's made with quarter-inch, looks like 2x2s that are a quarter-inch thick. It's very heavy. Me and my boys, I loaded it by myself, but I shouldn't have loaded it by myself. It's extremely heavy-duty, and I'm looking forward to putting this thing to use and trying it out. And I'm trying to figure out what all the things that I could do with it is, and perhaps you guys can educate me if someone knows, what do people use these kind of things for? Because I'm thinking that I'm going to use it for, like I said, mainly brush, and I'm sure you could probably go up to a log and use it like some people use pallet forks and pick up logs with it too because of this, because of its design. But it sticks out of the bucket looks like about 1.5 feet, and it adds like a pitchfork element to the bucket of your tractor. Now, the next thing he gave me was this snow blade, or it's a push plow, and this came off an old Craftsman garden tractor. It says Craftsman right here. I think it's an older model. Even though it's not the most heavy-duty plow I've seen, it's about as heavy-duty as other garden tractor plows that I've seen. It's definitely not the more modern, flimsy one. It's 48 inches across, so it's a larger snow plow, and it seems to be pretty well built. And what he did was he built this framework here, and you detach the bucket, and you attach this to the front end of your loader, and you can push snow with it. Now, right now, I'm not sure how much I want to use something like this. For one, we live in an area that doesn't get as much snow as other places, so I don't know if this is going to be as useful to me. But what I thought about doing was taking off, cut-off wheel and cutting off the plow and taking it off, and then because this framework here is so heavy-duty that you could do much more with it than what you can do with a snow plow. So I thought about taking the cut-off wheel, cutting off all the welds, leaving this framework here intact, and attaching pallet forks to the front of this. So then I'd have a bucket, I'd have like a pitchfork for the front end of my bucket, and I'd also have pallet forks. Now, one of the things where we live now is we have a wood-burning stove, so we have wood heat. So having pallet forks at the front end of my loader would be awesome to be able to move skids of wood around to where we're going to burn them in the fireplace. So my plan right now, it could change, is to cut off the plow, and I have a son, my one son, his garden tractor has a plow with it. So I don't know how useful this will be to me. I'm going to plan on turning this into pallet forks, and it's so well built that I think it's going to work fine and give me a nice strong platform by which to be able to lift skids and stuff. And this is one of those items that I didn't expect to pick up the night that I picked up the loader and stuff. He was an older man, and he had a couple of tractors they liked, and he had last one he had died on him. And so he told me that he's going to be selling other things other than the loader. And one of those things was this 4-foot grater blade. This thing is so heavy duty. In fact, I have a 6-foot grater blade for a Ferguson tractor that I use, and it is built very similar to this one. This one's extremely heavy duty, and it should be fine. But it's a 4-foot grater blade, very heavy duty grater blade. And for what he was just asking for the loader, I got everything here. And I'm gonna, if you're watching this, if he ever sees this, thank you. This has been awesome, and I'm so pumped about using it. But this is a 4-foot grater blade. You use this for like driveways or just trying to move soil and dirt, which is probably what I'll be using it for. Got some ideas on how to use this on the property. But I picked all this up on one night, and I tell you what, I think it's going to be perfect for what I'm doing. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you the tractors that I'm debating on what to put that loader on. And feel free to give me some feedback of which tractor you think would be best. I'm going to show you which one that I think I'm going to end up going with. And you could tell me if you think it's a good idea. Maybe I'm missing something, and I'll explain to you why. Perhaps the most obvious choice that a lot of people would say is you need a big good old John Deere tractor to put it on. And this is my John Deere 400 garden tractor. I picked it up from a kid who it didn't run at the time. And I was able to bring it home and get it running, and now it operates well. Unfortunately, it's been sitting for a long time, so the steering is going to need some TLC, some work on the front end of the steering. So the power steering works, but it's kind of intermittent. But this thing is a beast of a tractor as well. It is a big tractor. It's got the 20 horsepower Kohler engine inside of it, which is plenty of power to operate something like this. And this is one of John Deere's biggest, if not for the year, the biggest garden tractor. Now, what I like about this tractor and why I think it'd be a good fit is if you look in the front end there's actually hydraulic ports for the front end of the tractor. So I wouldn't even technically need the valve off the loader. I can hook it up to the front end of the tractor like you would like a snow blade or like a snow blade, the blade that goes up and down and right and left. And I can hook it up to this Porsche just like this loader's hooked up to that valve there. And I can use these levers to control the loader. And in fact, this one here has a float feature. So they probably put loaders on these tractors, and it's built for that, where the loader will hook directly to the tractor, and I wouldn't necessarily even need the valve assembly on the loader itself. It would attach to the tractor. I can use the hydraulic levers on the tractor. It already has the valve system built for it. It's got a strong Kohler engine on it already, and this thing drives beautifully. It runs and drives beautifully. The only issue I've had out of it so far is that little bit, that steering, the power-assisted steering sticks, because it was sitting for so long. But I want to fix that. It's not going to be a big deal. But this tractor would be a great option to put that loader on. And let me tell you other thing I like about it real quick. This right here is one of the things that makes me want to use this on this tractor. When I bought this one, a short time afterwards, I was able to get my hands on a John Deere 400 parts tractor that had a 3-point hitch on the rear. So now I'm already ahead with this tractor because I could have the front end loader. I got the valves, hydraulic valves already on, and I already have the 3-point hitch on the back. So this could be like the top package of being the closest thing that I could get for a subcompact utility tractor that runs and operates with power steering. It has a hydrostatic transmission, has a 3-point hitch, it has all the valves. I could be able to just hook it up to this tractor and just use it. And this tractor is big enough and strong enough that it should be able to handle that loader very easily. But let me show you my second option. All right, so what you're looking at here is a Simplicity Sunstar. This tractor was made in the 80s. The John Deere you're looking at there was made in the 70s. This was made in the 80s. It doesn't have power-assisted steering. It actually has real power steering on it. It has the Peerless hydrostatic rear end, which is what they would put on the John Deere 420s and 430s and even the 300 series, but the difference is the differential lock. This has a differential lock. The John Deere doesn't have a differential lock. And and this is also a very heavy-duty tractor. It's similar in weight to the John Deere 400. This has a 20 horsepower Kohler Magnum engine in it. And when I bought this tractor, the guy I bought it from had tore the engine apart, and he got intimidated, so he sold it to me, and I bought it as a project, and I rebuilt the engine. All I did was he was just replacing the governor. The engine had been rebuilt about 500 hours before, so it's still in really good shape. And so when I looked at it, the pistons had been bored out 30 thousandths over, and the cylinders looked great, and it still looked like a very good engine, which probably puts it about 21 to 22 horsepower instead of the 20 horsepower it originally came with. But the reason why I like this tractor, again, is because it comes with power steering. When you bought this from the factory, it came with smaller tires, the 23.5s in the rear, or 23 in the rears, and 16s in the front. I put 18s in the front and 26 in the rear, but they fit fine. And I actually think this would almost be a better option for me because of the locking rear differential. It has the high-low just like the John Deere. These also came with 3-points. I don't have a 3-point for this. They're not as common, but because it shares the same rear end as the John Deere 3 and 4, the 300, like the 318, 316, the 420s, the 3-point hitches on those will almost bolt right onto these. You just have to change the upper mounts to them and fabricate a couple different odd-man things, which I don't mind doing. And I can actually add those things to this tractor. So this tractor is also a very capable machine to handle that loader just like the John Deere. And as I've thought about it over the last number of days, I think, at least from my opinion, I think I'm going to go with this tractor. And the reason why I'm going to go with this one instead of the John Deere, I think, I might change my mind, always reserved for that, is one of the biggest reasons why I didn't like my Massey Ferguson at first, but I grew to like it. And that would be the height of the platform by which the rider sits. If you look up there where the rider sits on this tractor, you'll see that it sits up very high, and you're actually looking down over the hood, where the John Deere, you are looking, I don't know how to explain it, but on this tractor here, it's almost like you're sitting on the tractor looking up over the hood, and you can see down pretty well. Where the John Deere, you feel like you're sitting in the tractor, and the hood looks like it goes out for a mile past you. And why does that matter? Well, my Massey Ferguson, that's how they designed theirs, where the seat, where the platform where the driver sat was pretty high compared to the rest of the hood. And I didn't like that at first. It looked weird to me. And had a neighbor there who had a John Deere subcompact. He had a compact utility tractor. I don't even know if it was compact. It was a utility tractor. It was bigger than mine. He said, don't complain yet. He said, because when you're working with a loader, the fact that you can see your loader and see what you're lifting, he goes, is priceless. He goes, with my John Deere, he goes, I love my John Deere. It's a new one. He says, but I can't hardly see around that hood to be able to lift up the load that I'm working on. He goes, the fact that your platform is so high, he goes, you can look right down on what you're picking up, and your visibility is so much greater than it is on my John Deere. And I had never thought of that before. Well, this Simplicity shares the design feature that Massey Ferguson, and that is the hood comes down and the seat sits high. It's got power steering. It's a very heavy-duty frame. It's I would say just as heavy-duty as a John Deere 400. I can get a 3-point hitch for it. The engine has been rebuilt within the last little bit, and I already have another engine I could put on it even if it fails on me. And the rear end is a very well-known, strong rear end to a tractor. So on that note, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this tractor out and then show you. I'm going to kind of mock up the loader on this tractor and start working on seeing how I'm going to fit it on this tractor. All right, so you're starting to get a little sneak peek of what this thing could look like if we put the loader on this tractor. I thought this was Simplicity's, at this era, this was Simplicity's largest garden tractor. And this loader looks big on this tractor. And with that said, I've never actually seen a D160, 180, or D20 in real life, but that thing must have been pretty big, because I saw a similar loader to this next to on a wheel horse I think it was a D180, but and in fact I think I showed you the picture of it earlier. But look at this thing. In order to mount this thing to where I think it would work best, there's still a huge gap, and I know you don't want it too close in the front, and I don't remember what my Massey was, but there's a pretty big gap, I'd say at least over a foot gap between the bumper and the front of the loader, where the cross member goes across the loader. I'd like to bring that a little closer, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to be possible. And up here, as you can see, it's very tall. And one thing I told you before, and what I like about this, is if you sit up here on the tractor, I can see very well. I am sitting way up on the tractor. I can see down my hood, and I'm only a few inches from seeing what's in my loader bucket. I got plenty of visibility on both sides to be able to pick whatever I need to with the loader bucket, and I have full access to all the controls. Now, with that said, I want to say this. I believe on the wheel horse, it did not have a hydraulic reservoir, and it ran a hydraulic motor off of the engine. So on the side here, this pillar here was used as a hydraulic reservoir for the hydraulic motor to operate the loader, because the tractor didn't have one on its own. But this tractor has a hydraulic system already. And the question I have is, if that's the case, if this tractor already has a full hydraulic system where it doesn't need a reservoir, probably what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is right or not, feel free to leave a comment, is I'm going to cut this off at this, where the loader arms attach up here. I'm thinking about cutting it off and then replating the top here, and then taking this valve and moving it down here. So that instead of being here, it'll be here. So I have my hydraulic valve for my 3-point here, and then I'd have my hydraulic controls for my loader right beside it. I really like that idea, but I'm assuming that when ARC built this loader, that there was a reason why they attached this cross member over the top, probably to bring some stability. But I know modern loaders don't have that cross member, but I also know that modern loaders are much thicker and beefier, where I don't think they have to worry about jacking the loader one way or the other. And so if I do that, there's still a good chance I will go ahead and reuse this cross member, but it will be down here, and that will lower the loader down further, and I'm not sure yet. But so far, I really like this. Let me take the camera and kind of show you what I'm talking about regarding the size of the loader and the tractor. But it kind of dwarfs the tractor. I didn't think it would make it look at this, and perhaps my Massey Ferguson is the same way, and I just don't remember. But it kind of dwarfs the tractor. Let me show you some of the stuff I'm talking about. All right, so I don't know if you can see it, but this brings in a little bit more perspective of what this thing would look like when it's all put together. It seems it's kind of high, but again, I think that might be where these pillars, loader pillars, are just real tall, and if I cut them off, it'll look better. So this kind of gives you a side profile of how the loader could fit. I have this loader about as far back as I think I can take it. I could cut into my footrest to bring it back further, and I might do that, but this is as far back without modifying the tractor any that I can get it. I see this big gap. Does this look normal to you? Does this gap in the front look normal? I can't remember. I'm actually going to go back and look at some pictures and stuff in my old one this might be normal, and I might just not remember. But this is kind of how it's going to fit. Again, imagine a little bit Imagine a little bit lower on the tractor, and I think this fit. And what I like about it is you have a nice curvature of the hood down, you have a nice curvature of the loader down, and it all kind of is together so you can get a good viewpoint of what you're doing with your loader. Again, with the John Deere, the hood here, it starts here, and it goes straight out to like here, and that would cause a problem, because it looks like that hood is like a mile long, where this one goes nice and down. So, okay, well, I think that's about all the modification ideas that I have for tonight. I thought I'd share that with you, and let me know what you think. If you've heard of anybody else who's done something like this, who's put on a loader and on one of these tractors or switched it over, send me a link, put it in a comment, try to give me some help and some guidance to see this through. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you later.